following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To scratch and major itch. So enjoy your fruity pebbles, you yabba dabba bitch.
They've killed him! I'm CM Punk, and I am the voice of the voiceless.
Be the man. You gotta beat the man. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. I got okey doke by the
Live from the Pro Wrestling Report studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Monday Night Meltdown with your hosts, Damian Nelson and David Hero.
I'm proud to say we're doing things the Vince McMahon way.
That's the bottom line. What? Cause Stone Cold said so.
Bringing you all the latest news and views from professional wrestling. Monday Night Meltdown is on the air.
Hello, fans, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown. We're live on Monday, December 10th, 2012. Damian Nelson coming here alongside Matthew Thomas. Matthew, how are you this week?
Doing great. How about yourself, Damian?
I am absolutely fantastic. What a monumental night on Raw. The Cyborg, the Machine, the greatest recovery talent in professional wrestling today, Cody Rhodes, returns to WWE Raw tonight and steals the show. Not just his mustache, but his acumen as well. It's a great night. And we're going to be talking about that along with all the goings-on of WWE Raw tonight. We're going to be taking your phone calls as well. The number, 1-877-317-9772, 877-317-9772. Matthew, tonight, Raw, highlighted by Dolph Ziggler opening the show, Vince McMahon in the house. We find out that the Slammies are back next week. As I said before, Cody Rhodes is back. And WWE saves not only Team Hell No, but also Ryback for the end of the broadcast where they got into a Donnybrook with the Shield, Big Show, Ziggler, Sheamus, and really a hard sell for what will be a difficult sell this Sunday on TLC, because we also saw the WWE champion CM Punk, who, as you know, had emergency knee surgery earlier this week. Late last week, and is now off the card for TLC. Let's first talk about the opening of the show, Matthew. Dolph Ziggler standing high on top of that ladder and welcoming out and owning, to a degree, Sheamus, who they both say will walk out of TLC as the World Heavyweight Champion. As we know, Sheamus can't touch Big Show, Big Show can't touch Sheamus, but Dolph Ziggler said he would cash in after defeating John Cena and retaining his Money in the Bank briefcase on Sunday. A solid open to Raw tonight.
I thought it was a great way to start off as well, especially with that shot of Ziggler standing high atop the ladder, and it just further goes to provide that kind of air of importance to Cena Ziggler. The fact that, Ziggler has everything to lose, but he's also got a lot to gain, too. I think the fact that this is for something. This is for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Will ultimately, it adds that level of importance to this match. Should Ziggler go over, which I certainly would hope that would be the direction they go, it really takes it to another level for the fact that he would be beating John Cena for that briefcase.
Yeah, you gotta think though that, and we'll talk a lot more about this, of course, this Saturday on Primetime and Friday on Be the Booker. That John Cena has a strong chance of winning that matchup, but the end result could be John Cena winning both Money in the Bank briefcases in a single year and losing on the cash in both of them. But let's not discount the impact that CM Punk's injury has on WWE, and you got to wonder if WWE is regretting the direction they went in with TLC, where John Cena was not on the top of the card. He's buried in a match with Dolph Ziggler, and really, TLC this Sunday on pay-per-view lacks star power without CM Punk.
That it does. It definitely lacks that main WWE title match. But I will say this much: as disappointed and as much as I hate that Punk is injured, I honestly have I'm looking more forward now to that main event than I necessarily was Ryback versus Punk. We've got three guys in the Shield who the last pay-per-view, they were not even in the main WWE roster picture. So within one pay-per-view, they have been basically catapulted to what could very possibly be the main event of TLC. And these three guys new in the company, you got to think they're hungry and they are ready to potentially steal that spotlight in a match where they can make people stand up and take notice. So for me, in general, I've got a little more interest in that TLC match now than I did a week or so ago when it was booked as Punk versus Ryback, which would have been the third pay-per-view that we would have seen that match in some incarnation.
That's really surprising to hear, because I think actually they're rushing the Shield into action sooner than they need to be, but because they have to be. And I like the build that we've gotten from the Shield so far. I like the intrigue behind the group, but I think this is a little too quick, and I'm not sure if we have enough backstory on their involvement, I guess, in WWE and going up against Ryback and Team Hell No. Now, let's not lose sight of the fact as well that Ryback got not only a chant before he came out and a pretty good pop tonight, and we didn't see Ryback all night until the end of the night. I don't think we saw Team Hell No until the end of the night either. WWE doing a very good job in establishing them as key players in tonight's Raw and going into this Sunday's pay-per-view. I don't think there's much more they could have done to try to sell Sunday's TLC than they did tonight, and especially when you look at the fact that we now have a tag team contest between Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow, tag team partners, of course, making up the Rhodes Scholars, going against Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio, another team we didn't see on Raw tonight. That match now added to Sunday's TLC pay-per-view, and we kicked the show off with it, Matthew, but as we know, Cody Rhodes suffering from a pretty severe shoulder injury just 4 weeks ago at the hands of Daniel Bryan in a match on the main event. And now back tonight, and they were on Miz TV. And we saw Miz try to tease a little bit of dissension between Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. A solid tag team, definitely a solid tag team. But one thing I'm not so intrigued by is the Miz's performance as a face. He's just such a good heel. I'm just not liking it.
I'm right there with you, Damian. And I've been a Miz supporter through the years. I was the sole entity in the Richmond Coliseum in 2006 with a hoorah chant when the Miz faced the Boogeyman. I've been there pretty much since the beginning. And you're right, he's such a natural heel, but this Miz face turn is just, at times, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I'm trying to pinpoint exactly what it is. I think so much of it has to do with he's still, to a certain extent, the same character, kind of, but he's a lot more, he's pandering now with this very, very juvenile humor to try to get over in some capacity as a face. And I haven't seen a Miz TV segment or any segment with him since he started this face run where it hasn't been cringeworthy. And I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to give it time for him to feel this new role out. But once again tonight, it's almost like it just keeps getting worse from week to week with face Miz.
I want to remind everybody we've got a live chat room going on right here at Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/PWR. Several hundred of you right now in the chat room discussing not only Cody's mustache, but tonight's goings-on Raw. And also we're on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter, where we want you to tell us whether you thought Raw was either a pass or a fail tonight. Go ahead and retweet our tweet that just went out a moment ago at PWR Show, whether or not you thought Raw was a pass or fail. We also got a Divas matchup tonight, Eve Torres versus Alicia Fox. And I've, of course, endorsed Eve and been a fan of Eve for a very long time, but, man, was she just perfect tonight, not only in the matchup, which was paced perfectly, and we don't see that often in Divas matchups, but it was a good match. It wasn't a bathroom break this week, and I got to give that credit to Eve.
Yeah, a solid match. Glad we got to see Alicia Fox. We don't see much of her these days, it doesn't feel like. A very solid match. Just another example, though, of the match that was just placed there for the Divas match. It just further goes to show that, especially now, I know we got the announcement for the Divas #1 contender battle royal on the pay-per-view pre-show on Sunday, but at the same time, a good match, but it goes to further emphasize the fact that right now, as far as anything that's storyline driven or any angle in that Divas division, there's not much going on.
You talk about good matchups. We had two great matchups tonight on Raw, the first of which being Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler. This one ended in a disqualification as a chair got involved in the mix-up. But, wow, two great talents, and Sheamus continues to get better and better, and Dolph Ziggler continues to even get better than he already has been, moving on from just selling for everybody else to really putting himself in a tremendous spot. A great matchup between two great athletes. One of two matches that was given solid time tonight to do what it needed to do. Your thoughts on that match?
It was phenomenal, and I liked the finish. I felt like the finish protected everybody. And actually, I'll give credit to Cole and Lawler during this match as well. I thought they did a good job during the course of this, putting over the importance of Ziggler-Cena for the briefcase on Sunday. But a stellar match. Ziggler, every time he's in that ring, he continues to shine. And Sheamus, I have a hard time pinpointing a bad Sheamus match recently. I mean, yeah. Sheamus continues to impress when he's in the ring. So just an outright awesome match between these two guys. And one thing I liked about the show tonight, a lot of times in your go-home shows to a pay-per-view, you feel like they're just trying to lump a bunch of people in there in tag team matches and, just get a little bit of everybody who's going to be on the show, which they did. They were able to pretty much feature everybody that's going to be on that pay-per-view Sunday, but we had a lot of one-on-one singles matches tonight that were good wrestling matches that got some time.
The second matchup was that between Kofi Kingston and Antonio Cesaro. This was the best match of the night by far. They got a lot of time, and they delivered as two great athletes in the ring, while the fans in Newark, New Jersey chanted boring for a time during that matchup. This was a great wrestling match between two tremendous athletes.
It was absolutely phenomenal. We've seen these two guys go at it several times here in recent weeks, and Cesaro continues to do a great job as the U.S. champion. I think his gimmick is perfect for the U.S. champion at this point. He continues to get over not only in the ring, but also with that persona. He was on commentary earlier in the night with Kofi, and he continues to play that role to a T. So very impressive match. The only problem that I had here was your Intercontinental Champion losing clean on the show prior to the pay-per-view where he's got a title defense. I'm not sure what benefit this did for Kofi other than having an excellent match. I don't know necessarily if I agree with the finish of having the IC champion pin clean like that.
And you talk about what damage it may have done. I don't know how much benefit any wrestler gets nowadays in WWE for having a good match. I think that the wrestling fans have changed quite a bit, and while there is certainly that pocket that does definitely still agree and want to see a good matchup, a good wrestling matchup, the majority of the fans want what's next. They don't want what's right now. And I would venture to say, due to that, I don't know if there was any damage to the Intercontinental Champion losing that matchup, and it wasn't title versus title, but a good match and a good build going into TLC this Sunday. And speaking of TLC, we found out from the WWE Champion CM Punk, who, while he is injured, he will be at TLC this Sunday night. Not sure in what capacity and in what role. Smart to have him on TV, smart to continue or to have him come out on Raw tonight and say that he was going to be or will be at the pay-per-view in Brooklyn this Sunday. But an unfortunate injury for CM Punk, one that required, as we said, emergency surgery late last week. We're not sure how long CM Punk is going to be out of action, but he did talk a lot tonight about his matchup with The Rock at the Royal Rumble, and also addressed what a lot of people are talking about is whether or not he should be stripped of the WWE Championship due to his injury. Now, is this a story potential there going forward? Can we see some headbutting between Vicky Guerrero and or Vince McMahon and or CM Punk as to what happens with this championship, because we know they want to preserve that matchup at the Royal Rumble with The Rock, but they got to do something with CM Punk in the meantime.
Well, they were able to kind of, I guess, keep both doors open tonight by suggesting both potential threads, but you would certainly think if there was a lot of concern there as far as him being ready for The Rock at the Royal Rumble, they wouldn't have thrown that out there as much as they did tonight. So it seemed like there were some seeds firmly planted in that direction. But like they do every week, Punk and Heyman continue to deliver, and I really feel like here in the last 2-3 weeks, those two together really seem to be hitting their stride. The chemistry, everything they have got nailed down. Another very, very solid promo between those two guys. It had some time, too. It was a fairly lengthy promo with Heyman engaging the audience very well. I continue to be impressed with this pairing. They continue to really, really bring it week after week.
A couple other matchups on Raw tonight. Wade Barrett taking on R-Truth. R-Truth getting the win in that matchup, and Kofi Kingston on the attack afterwards. And Alberto Del Rio takes on Zack Ryder. Alberto Del Rio with a strong showing in that matchup, one that seemingly was only there to show, I guess, put ADR back somewhere near the top of the card. And speaking of the top of the card, no Randy Orton tonight. Tonight's Raw, for the 3 hours of it till the end of it, was really, as I said, lacking of star power. We saw a lot of Cena, including that goofy skip between him and AJ in the men's locker room. But no Ryback, no Team Hell No Randy Orton, no Sin Cara, no Rey Mysterio. A lot of people were not as heavily focused on as they generally are on Monday nights. And a lot of people who aren't were, including Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, and even AJ. Well, AJ's typically featured, but the matchup between AJ and Vicky Guerrero, Brad Maddox gets back into the mix and causes AJ to lose the matchup. AJ goes crazy, slaps Justin Roberts at ringside. How much further can we go with this crazy chick character of AJ Lee?
It seems like that's the default thing whenever they don't really know where to go to next. They'll just turn back to crazy AJ again. And we got more of the same tonight. So I don't know if there's any real payoff there other than just something to do while they're kind of treading water, trying to figure out what direction to go in next. One thing that I was disappointed in with the Vicky Guerrero AJ match was I thought this would be an opportune time for some Tamina involvement. We had that segment at the Survivor Series where everybody's trying to figure out what the payoff to the whole AJ scandal angle is, and we've got the Tamina run-in at the Survivor Series. I was hoping there was going to be some storyline-based Diva feud to come out of that, maybe kind of relaunch the Divas division a little bit, but we got AJ Tamina on Raw last week with a quick roll-up pin by AJ, and nothing really beyond that, so that may very well have been the finish to what they were going to do with that. So I was hoping that we may have some more of that sprung off of Vicky AJ tonight, but no, apparently they used it as another opportunity to bring out crazy AJ, and while she did slap Justin Roberts, you did see that she made sure to stay away from his necktie, though.
Wouldn't want to be getting fired over that. Good call there. We are still looking for your feedback on tonight's Raw, whether or not you thought it was pass or fail. And much like in the special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report television, the honors last weekend, you all get to decide what tonight's Raw rating is, whether it was pass or fail. One thing, and you can do that on Twitter, at PWR Show on Twitter. Go ahead and retweet our tweet, whether or not you thought Raw was pass or fail. One thing we were told we would see tonight, but we didn't, which was the three-man band State of WWE address, and a tout video was just sent out by Heath Slater, the endorsed Heath Slater. You can find that on our Twitter page, at PWR Show on Twitter. So we're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we're going to go to your phone calls, and then we're going to give you the results of whether or not tonight's Raw was a pass or fail. Conversation continues in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio, where, again, a lot of talk about Cody Rhodes' mustache. There's no doubt about it. The mustache is over. The Pro Wrestling Report Monday Night Meltdown continues right here on Blog Talk Radio right after this short timeout.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real. The Monday Night Meltdown phone zone is now open. Give us a call live at 1-877-317-9772. And be sure to press 1 to get in where you fit in and be part of tonight's live show. We'll call on you by your area code, and when you hear it, tell us your name and where you're calling from. Then proceed with your question or comment.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Pro Wrestling Report, Monday Night Meltdown. We're live on Monday, December 10, 2012. Coming off the heels of last weekend's Blizzard Brawl from Great Lakes Championship Wrestling, several thousand in attendance to that very successful event, and it was an honor to be able to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Big Sexy Kevin Nash. If you haven't seen that footage yet, you can see it on this past week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime, which also featured the announcement of the winners in the 2012 PWR honors, including Wrestler of the Year, Female of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Shenanigans Moment of the Year, and Markout Moment of the Year. Find out who won in all those categories right now, pwrshow.com or youtube.com/MaxSports. But it's time now to go into the phone zone and find out what you guys thought of WWE Raw. And let's first go to someone who thought the show deserved a passing grade. And we're going to go to Ryan, who's calling us from New Orleans, Louisiana. Ryan, you are live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, Damien, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely tremendous. Thanks for coming on.
I'd have to. I'm going to give it a pass. For the main reason is, as crazy as it sounds, the Miz segment. Although I think Miz is trying to be a cheap copy of Ric Flair, I thought it was an attempt by WWE to do something that they normally don't do, which is establish depth to their characters. In this case, they thought they did it with Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow, making them more intriguing as a team and as characters in general, and it made the match on Sunday actually more interesting and more intriguing.
Yeah, especially given the fact that they had to hot shot that matchup with just less than a week to promote it. But you said the show overall was a pass. What else did you like about it?
I know it seems weird that I said that, but yeah, I thought that was a good thing. That main thing is at least a good thing that WWE seems to be trying to do. Also, the fact that they ended it with a brawl, with a kind of a shut up and fight attitude, which is kind of refreshing because they don't do that very often in WWE.
Yeah. We also found out tonight that Elimination Chamber is going to be down in your neck of the woods in New Orleans, Louisiana in 2013. I think it's right up against Mardi Gras, huh?
Yeah, it's sometime in February, but my boys and I are getting our tickets on Saturday, so we'll be there.
Excellent. February 17, 2013. I'm actually going to be there February 9th and 10th, the weekend before, so I guess I didn't plan that properly. But be that as it may, thank you so much for the call. And Ryan saying that Raw was a pass tonight. Well, there's always conflicting opinions, especially in the world of professional wrestling. So let's go now to our next caller who figures or thought that Raw was a fail. And we're going to go to Northern California and speak to Ruben. Ruben, you're live.
What up? It's your boy Rube here from Sonoma County, California, wine country, USA. What's going on, guys?
How much are you, Ruben?
I'm doing good, man, doing good. Just got over a cold over the weekend, but I heard you had a killer time in Vegas.
Oh, I had a killer time in Vegas. So killer, in fact, I'm going back in a couple weeks.
Oh, man, just party on, bro, party on, bro. Oh, yeah, you only live once. Might as well enjoy it. I'm kind of conflicted because I'm kind of, I liked it, but no, I didn't. And I'll tell you, here's some of the things that I liked. It was great to see that they actually paid attention to the Divas. They actually gave them some TV time, and they had a good match. Sheamus and Dolphy Z wrestled. They had a solid match, but I've seen that before. There was some good moments, but the moments that I didn't like was, where was a Randy Orton? Alberto Del Rio making the Long Island IZ job again. There was no Rey Mysterio. I haven't heard anything, updates about Mark Henry or Christian or anything like that. I'm like, where are all these guys at, though? Because aren't they supposed to be starting to get the bill going for WrestleMania right about this time? They need to start getting some of these guys back quickly because, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, but beyond Raw, I have a quick question I wanted to ask you. There's a show that I watch. It's called Plastic Surgery Before and After, and the show says how they can turn Shaniqua, who eats a Popeye's chicken wing, turn into 400 pounds, and they can make her look like Beyonce knows in a couple of weeks. And I know that the WWE has this great nutrition program, which they talk a lot about. All their athletes, they're so in great shape. They have these things where they don't sleep in beds, they sleep on the floor, they walk everywhere, they work with MMA fighters, they lift weights, they do all this stuff. And I'm just wondering, in your guys' opinion, have you ever thought of a wrestler maybe going under the knife just to maintain a career? Or have you seen some wrestlers out there that may need to go under the knife just to maintain their career? What do you think?
Well, Ruben, thanks for that question. Thanks for calling in. And to provide you with an answer, there are wrestlers who are wrestling right now who have recently gone under the knife to maintain their appearance. And there's a few of them. We're not going to name names because it surprisingly hasn't gotten out, and that wouldn't be fair to them. But it is something that happens fairly regularly because your appearance is a big part of your utilization in either company, whether it be WWE or TNA. And we're talking, there's people in both companies who are prominently featured in both right now who've within the last 12 months gotten some work done, if you will, and trying to keep that look going. Now, one thing that definitely worked is the growth of a mustache by the endorsed Cody Rhodes, who tonight, his mustache was the most over star on Raw. So you can't deny that. Now, some would say, and I think you would say, Meathead, maybe Cody's about a month off with his mustache. He doesn't realize it's December, according to you?
Yeah, the thing is, I think because he wasn't able to grow anything because he needed that heavy ramp-up time, he might have started in November.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? He wasn't able to grow anything, needed heavy ramp-up time. What do you mean?
Now, for those of you that paid attention to Twitter and paid attention to Twitter during Blizzard Brawl, there was a picture put out there. That's a man's mustache.
Well, just keep on hating. Thank you for that call, Ruben. And we are going to go now to the results of what you all had to say about Raw tonight, whether or not it was a pass or fail. And the results are in. Again, this coming via our Twitter page, at PWR Show on Twitter. Some 70% of you giving Raw a passing score tonight. 70% of you saying Raw deserved a passing score, while only 30% saying it failed. So the trend continues over the last few weeks of Raw being overall strong, at least in the viewing audience's mind. We'll see what the actual numbers bring, especially going into a big week of WWE programming on the USA Network and on all of USA's networks, or NBC's networks rather, next week, including Tribute to the Troops and another live SmackDown. So that is this week's edition of The Meltdown. We'll be back with you again Thursday night right here on Sudden Impact Radio with Meathead and Matthew Thomas, and then Saturday with a brand new edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Television. But before that, we're actually going to be the booker for you on Friday, looking at WWE TLC, which is this Sunday on pay-per-view, and I'm sure that one's going to be a tricky one to fantasy book, if you will. So, for the man they call Meathead, for Matthew Thomas and David Hero, who was not able to join us tonight, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in here on The Meltdown. We'll see you again Thursday night for Sudden Impact Radio. So long, everyone.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, real.